A celebration of St. Louis in photographs. That's next on City Corner. I'm Steve Potter, and welcome to City Corner. A new book celebrates St. Louis's 250th anniversary. It's The City at 250, a celebration of St. Louis in photographs. Olivia Lahs-Gonzales is the director of the Sheldon Art Galleries, and she joins us here to talk about it. Hi, Olivia. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
This project, I guess, had been underway for a year or two. It started as a co-project between the Sheldon and what was formerly the Beacon.
Right, exactly.
How did all that happen?
Well, we were looking for a media partner to help us get the word out about the photo contest that we wanted to mount, and so we partnered up with the Beacon. They were very interested in working with us, and it was a great partnership, and so we ended up having over 500 entries to the contest, which ran about 7 months to give people time to, capture a few seasons and events, and so, yeah, it was really good.
But you were looking to work from professional photographers, amateurs. How did you break all that down?
Right, yeah, we had categories for professional, amateur, and youth. So actually the youngest entrant was, I believe, 4 years old to the contest. So yeah, we wanted to make sure everybody's vision was captured in the book.
Was it a big job to choose 100 photographs out of 500?
It was actually a pretty big job. We had 4 jurors altogether. We had Eric Lutz from the Art Museum. We had John Nagel from the International Photography Hall of Fame, Bob Duffy from the Beacon, and myself. So we went through a lot of pictures, yeah.
For a little background, I just want to point out that the Beacon was an online news service. It was a lot of the Post-Dispatch employees that kind of put that together.
Exactly.
And since that time, almost a year ago, the Beacon joined forces with St. Louis Public Radio, so they're one organization now.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So how have the sales of the book gone?
Well, I think they're coming along, definitely, and we're trying to get the word out. We'll probably be doing a book signing at Left Bank Books, so stay tuned for that. We're working on scheduling that. And it's available online. It's available in our gift shop and also on Amazon.com.
And at major bookstores, probably.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
But certainly the local bookstores, we have it, and on Amazon. Okay. Yeah.
What kind of parameters, if any, did you put out there when you were asking for submissions of photographs? Particular subject matters? Were there any parameters at all?
Right, yeah. I mean, we had different categories. We had people, we had places and events, and architecture as well. And so those were the categories that people could submit under. And really, it was about having a unique vision and quality of the image. So, not the same old, same old. We wanted people to really capture the uniqueness of St. Louis, the uniqueness of their neighborhood, the people in the neighborhood, just really give people a sense of what the city is like, and not in cliches.
Right. So there might be pictures of the arch in there, or something in Forest Park, but then you're going to see an abandoned house in North City or something you wouldn't expect.
Exactly. So we wanted people to really have a sense of, or let people know of what St. Louis was really like and all of its lovely details.
Well, it's really a marvelous book. Let's look at some of the images in it. St. Louis at 250. We'll take a look at this first one, and you can make any comments you'd like about it. It's from the book St. Louis at 250, a celebration of St. Louis in photographs.
Right. Again, I mean, one of the things that always struck me, I'm from Chicago, And Chicago has a lot of clapboard houses, and certainly we have neighborhoods that have that as well. But what's so wonderful about St. Louis is this unique brick architecture.
Right.
And I think this one by Hilary Hitchcock really captures that sense of the different types of buildings in St. Louis and the
They
brick.
say there's nothing like St.
the
Louis
charm.
brick, is what
Yeah,
experts have told me.
Exactly. No, it's a lovely city for architecture.
Let's go to the next one.
This one, great view of the arch, a really unique view from up north from the kind of the industrial neighborhood. And, you know, again, these are the kinds of images we were looking for, you know, not the typical shots of the arch, but varying different.
Right. This is an angle a typical tourist wouldn't see.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Let's keep going.
Has a lot of atmosphere. This is Melt on Cherokee Street, which was, you know, again, a very wonderful atmospheric shot of this restaurant that we liked a lot, using kind of alternative processes. Carrie McCoy, beautiful, beautiful shot. We actually had a lot of sunrises and sunsets. You would think that St. Louis was built on them. So, you know, we did end up including some of those, you know, because they were quite spectacular in the book as well.
That's a beautiful shot.
We really liked this one of the snow. I mean, you'll remember it was a particularly snowy, cold winter, and I think this image really captured this, you know, that time, that snow and the person trudging through the snow. I love the way they framed it with the branches, and just overall really unique shot.
That says St. Louis to me.
It certainly did last winter.
Right.
Jane Linders, again, she got 2 shots in the book and the exhibit. This is a nice view of the river, just again, really atmospheric, unusual view. I think this is cropped a little more than it was in the show, but it just has a lot of atmosphere.
Yeah, these were actually up at the Sheldon Art Galleries for a period of time.
Right, yeah. We chose 100 to kind of grace the walls, but then we chose an additional 150 for a slide show that ran on monitors, and so it was actually a total of 250 images in the exhibit.
Let's take a look at another one.
Yeah, St. Xavier Church, a particularly spectacular view, really nice.
I've never been there. I like this shot.
Yeah, we like this one a lot as well. I think, you know, again, very unique view of the arch by Nick Toulis. Yeah, definitely.
Wow, that's on the cover of the book,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Just a beautiful shot. I think she actually composited this shot. It's actually 2 images. So when you look at it, first it sort of doesn't make sense because you've got the arch rising, but then the sky is sort of sideways, and what she did was merge 2 images together to create the shot. We really allowed everything, so we allowed Instagram, we really allowed any kind of approach. King of the Hill, great shot. It sort of reminds me of a Bruegel painting with all the little figures in it.
That's the St. Louis Art Museum in
Yep.
the background. And who hasn't slid down Art Hill?
Exactly.
You've been here 20 years, you've done that, haven't you?
I have, but it's pretty frightening, I have to say. It takes particular metal to do that.
Let's take a look at this last one here.
Susan Hacker, she also got 2 shots in the show, and this is a wonderful one. She took with actually a toy. It's a digital version of a toy camera. So it has these particular kind of lens aberrations and produces kind of a very atmospheric image.
We have some more to look at. We'll look at those a little bit later. But you mentioned there just a type of camera. So, you know, I'm not a photographer, but there's so many different ways people can capture images these days.
Yeah, exactly. And really all were represented. I mean, we had iPhone pictures, we had, you know, more professional cameras, and we really allowed everything because I wanted people's creativity. It didn't really matter what the technology was to us as long as the image was good. And the quality of the file, obviously it needed to be able to be blown up a little bit so that it would look good in the book and on the wall.
Well, that's interesting, Olivia. I'm sure you got a lot of entries from professional photographers, which I'm sure, you know, technically were really good. But talk a little bit about people that weren't professionals. You said maybe some people use their phones, so
Sure.
it might maybe just be a high school student walking down the street and takes a
we
picture?
had some really great pictures by high school students. There were some wonderful ones of, of the Science Center. There was one by a high school student that won an award. So, yeah, I mean, we had awards through all the categories.
Right.
So, and then the youngest photograph was made by a 4-year-old, we were told. So.
No kidding.
Yeah.
In the second part of this program, we're gonna actually see, I think, the one shot that kind of won overall.
Right.
Just
right.
tell me about it, though.
Yeah, Ryan Archer. We love that shot. It's called City Museum Climbers, and it's people sort of climbing through one of the rooftop climbing apparatuses, and it's just this wonderful shot of these figures making their way through, and so there was a lot of metaphor, I think, that you could put to that image. And just, positive sort of, making your way through.
Yeah, we'll take a look at,
like
oh, there it
that.
is there. So you gave out cash awards as well, did
Yes.
you not?
Yeah, PNC Arts Alive gave us a big grant and made the show possible. And so we were able to give out some pretty decent cash prizes, and that made everything possible, made the book possible, and the matting and framing and everything that went into the exhibit.
So what happened to all the photographs that were on display at the Sheldon? Is that something you keep in your archives?
No,
or?
actually, we're giving those to the photographers. So, we had Diversified Labs actually donated all the printing for that, and we are able then to give those pictures to the photographers.
Okay, well, we need to take a break, Olivia. When we come back, we've got some more to share, and we're also going to talk a little bit briefly about some new exhibitions that have recently opened that are up, I think, through the early next year.
Yes.
So we're talking about St. Louis at 2:50, and we'll be back with more City Corner right after this.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
I'm Steve Potter. Welcome back to City Corner. St. Louis at 2:50. It's a book put out by the Sheldon Art Galleries. Olivia Lahs-Gonzales is the director of the Sheldon Art Galleries. It's a joint project with the Beacon, and it's I would call it a perfect example of a coffee table book. It's mostly photographs, very little text, but just beautiful 100 photographs. As you said earlier, Olivia, you had a contest.
Right.
500 people entered, or 500 photographs were entered, and you chose 100.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, we had actually a 2-part project for our STL 250 contribution. We had an exhibit earlier this year that started in February around the time of the actual anniversary called Imagining the Founding of St. Louis, and that really talked about the history, so the then portion. And so this is kind of the now portion. And the history, we also incorporated a lot of Native American material, told the story of the founding of St. Louis through paintings that had been done by 19th and early 20th century artists, as well as through the artifacts of the Osage, the Missouri, the Illini Indians. And so that also has a companion book. So it's kind of a nice set that we did.
Yeah. Well, it's been a great birthday party
Yeah.
all year, hasn't it?
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Just really briefly about the Sheldon, for people who don't know, it's located in Grand Center.
Right.
There's a theater performing space as well as the art galleries all in one building. Just tell us a little bit about the facility.
Right, well, we have the historic concert hall built in 1912, so we just celebrated our 100th anniversary. And it's said to be acoustically perfect. It's a beautiful hall, not a bad seat in the house. There are 712 seats, I think. So really from any part of the concert hall, you can get a really great view and hear a great concert. And then the galleries are part of the building that's right directly next door. It was a 1920s parking garage that was renovated in 1998 and attached to the concert hall. And so we have 7,000 square feet of gallery space, and it includes 6 different galleries. So we have a gallery for local and regional artists, we have a gallery of music, photography, architecture, children's art, and then one, the Kransberg space, which doesn't have any particular theme to it. It's just anything that it can be.
Well, a lot of rotating exhibitions, so people should check out your website every once in a while.
Definitely, yeah. And then we also have some great ballroom space that we rent out for various weddings and
that
corporate
rooftop.
events. Yeah, a really nice rooftop that can be rented as well, yeah.
Let's look at a few more images from the book, St. Louis at 250. I think we have 3 more to look at, and then we're going to talk about some upcoming things at the Sheldon. But these are more photographs from the book, St. Louis at 250.
Right, yeah, L'Odore Vador by Christy Foster, just a beautiful, intimate photograph. And this one has a great story, Stitch in Time, by Olivia Lahs-Gonzales. This is actually her grandmother, and her grandmother actually worked in that City Museum building as a seamstress back when it was used for that purpose. And so she made this wonderful shot of her with her sewing machine in front of the building, kind of telling that story of use and reuse.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
And yeah, so she was one of our youth entrants. And Andrea also won an award. Both of those images won awards. Sunset in St. Louis was also one of our youth entries. Really great shot of the Science Center.
St. Louis at 250. Now, you brought another book. I think maybe you just mentioned it a few minutes ago, Olivia. You brought another book with you, and this was from a exhibition that preceded this.
Right, exactly. The Imagining the Founding of St. Louis exhibit. So it's sort of, they were meant to be companion shows. The one talking about the history of the founding through art and artifacts of Native American, really talking about who was here before the founding, as well as talking about the founding itself.
Well, back to the book, St. Louis at 250, there are a couple of things you wrote in the foreword that I just kind of wanted to bring up. I'm not going to read anything, but I wanted to ask you about, you talk about, because I think it's interesting. And I always like to get people's impressions of St. Louis that weren't from here originally. You've been here a long time, but you're a Chicago transplant, but you've been here like 20 odd years.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So what was that like transitioning to St. Louis? Did you feel like you were moving to a little town or what?
Not really. I mean, I think what makes St. Louis so great is everything's so accessible. I mean, you can get pretty much anywhere in 20 minutes or less. And it sort of has a real human scale to it. I mean, I love Chicago, I miss Chicago, but it's such a huge city that you don't have that sort of sense of a human scale to it. Everything's vast distances, and here it's sort of cozy. I mean, you can still live in the city as I do and have a backyard and trees and hear the birds around you and not feel like you're in this gritty urban environment. I'm sure there certainly are parts of St. Louis that are more urban and gritty than others, but here I feel like you can really have a life in the city and have all kinds of great amenities, like the park system is fabulous, and just all of the cultural activities that are available here.
You came here, you worked for the St. Louis Art Museum originally, and then the Sheldon thing came up and you decided to stay. Right,
exactly, yeah. It was a wonderful opportunity. Sheldon's a marvelous place to be, and just
how
being
about
around
the whole Grand Center area, how that's
I mean,
been coming along?
It's great to be right in Grand Center. We have so many arts organizations there. There's so much to do, and
well, let's jump ahead. There's some exhibitions at the Sheldon that just recently opened that are up through early 2015. Wow, it's almost 2015.
Yep.
So we have one image from each of the 6 new shows. Why don't we look at those?
Yeah, would
and
love
you can
to.
tell us what we can see now at the Sheldon.
Right. Well, we have this great show by Barbara Holtz, who will be 90 in December. She's a marvelous painter who does very large-scale works, works that are autobiographical, they're landscape, but very metaphoric landscapes, as well as these great paintings like this one that you see that really talk about her family. And what makes these so interesting to me is it's very much a multimedia piece. She incorporates photography, as you can see with the images, the faces, but then she paints and adds three-dimensional items as well. And so just a marvelous painter.
Okay, let's move ahead.
This is by Marty Stewart, who's a wonderful musician who was just here doing a concert at the Sheldon to open the exhibit. He has an amazing collection of country music, roots music, artifacts, and we have this incredible collection right now.
Let's try to get to the next four if we have time.
Hilda Stewart photographs Marty Stewart's mom, who's been a photographer since she was 16. She's in her 80s now. So just a great group of pictures there. And this is from a collection of St. Louis and Chiral Bolt, who has a marvelous collection of architectural drawings that are on view in our Blvd Gallery of Architecture. This is William Stage's work. We have a big retrospective of his work up right now. He's a wonderful author as well as photographer and artist. And so just a great body of work that's on view.
Yeah, I know William, and I'm a big fan of his fading ads of St. Louis, where he took pictures of old fading ads on sides of 100-year-old ads from brick buildings.
Right. And then this show, this is sort of our last installment of the STL 250 contributions that we've done this year. Joanna O'Cross Ritter is a French teacher at Wilson School, and she's been working with her 6th grade students where they take on a French colonial St. Louis character that they make up entirely. They completely tell the backstory, which they fabricate, and then they dress up as the character and perform in front of the camera. And so all these portraits are up in the show, as well as some other things.
He looks serious.
Yeah, no, they really get in. It's a very touching series, actually, because these kids really get they learn about the history of St. Louis, and then they really get into these characters, and you can really see it in their faces and the portraits.
So those are all exhibitions now up at the Sheldon Art Galleries. You know, you have a little slogan that you use, and I like it, and I thought maybe just talk a little bit about it. You talk about the Sheldon at being the perfect, I may not have it right here, the perfect place for music and art?
Right, exactly.
And how many places are there like that, really, if you think about it?
You know, I had to do some research on that a few years ago when we were doing a strategic plan, and I can very honestly say not many, if any, that are quite like ours. I mean, there are a few other places that have both music venues and maybe one gallery, but the scale of ours really, I think, is very unique to the country.
Well, you know, I work at St. Louis Public Radio, and my studio window looks out to the back of the Sheldon, so I'm always watching people come and go. There's always a lot of activity there, performances, somebody there.
There really is.
Let's take a look back to the book, St. Louis at 250. Again, this is the final shot of this part of the City Museum, and this won the overall competition.
Right, yeah. This was Best of Show.
Have you been up there?
I have not climbed that, no.
And again, if people want copies of this great book, you know, the holiday season's coming up, this would be a great gift.
Exactly.
It really would be.
And we have both of them available. If you buy both, there's a 10% discount.
So you can do that at the
right,
Sheldon
either the
itself.
Sheldon gift shop, or they are available on Amazon.com as well. But the discount itself only applies when you buy it from us.
Well, we just have a few seconds left, Olivia, but are there any... Do you have any long-range plans for the Sheldon? I mean, is it just humming along perfectly the way it is, or do you foresee any changes? Or
well, I mean, I think we're always looking for ways to improve, you know, perhaps using more new technologies. But really, you know, my mission is to really create very unique exhibitions of very high quality and diversity. Diversity is very much a part of what we do. We want to really reflect our community And so it's really just about those things, about providing high quality exhibitions that really make you think, make you create wonder, and reflect who we are as a community.
Well, the Sheldon certainly is a gem, and if there are people out there that have never been there, they should take care of that.
Well, thank you.
Go by there and check out the website, and buy the book, The City at 250, A Celebration of St. Louis in Photographs. Olivia Lahs-Gonzales is the director of the Sheldon Art Galleries, and I want to thank you so much for taking time to visit us today.
Thanks so much for having me. Thanks.
Really enjoyed the book very much.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Potter. That's all the time we have today for City Corner. I hope you'll join us next time. Thanks. Bye.